25 years is a long time in film. We've seen billion-dollar franchises rise and fall. Streaming services change the way that we view and experience movies, and the AI phenomenon begin to threaten to alter the industry as a whole. But one thing across that time period, and for the whole time period films has existed, has stayed constant. And that is that films still transcend from screen into our minds and hearts and stick with us forever. And so in honour of that, as the first quarter of this century closes, I've been exploring the topic, what are the best films of this time period? And in this video, after tens of thousands of releases and hours of research, I am revealing my 4 best films since the year 2000. So if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're a new viewer, let me explain. I only have 2 rules. Rule 1, these must also be my favourite films since the year 2000. So not just the most technically perfect, but also things that invoke nostalgia, mean something to me, have parts of them that I think about consistently. And rule 2, I can only have 1 film from any specific director. So Richard Linklater, I'm sorry, you can only have 1 film on this list. Alright, so let's lock in. In 4th place, I have Parasite by the incredible Bong Joon-ho. Parasite, in my opinion, and also the opinion of many others, is the most well-crafted and well-executed film of the 21st century. Every detail, every layer, every single prop, they're just all so perfectly placed, and it leaves you admiring every single intentional detail and every single move Bong and his crew makes. In summary, Parasite is a thriller that explores the class disparity and social inequality of the rich and the poor in Korea. And it shows us this through telling us an intricate and dark story that highlights those clashes. This film spends the first half exploring a poor family looking to capitalise like scavengers on an oblivious and trusting rich family, before in the second half of this film pulling the rug from underneath us and taking us on a symphony of catastrophic events that leads to a really dark turn. As a longtime lover of Korean film, and especially Bong Joon-ho's filmography, the moment that Parasite elevated itself into award contention felt like a momentous occasion and something really significant in film in the last 25 years.
The Oscar goes to Parasite.
So not only was it a great piece of art with a lot of rewatch value and something you can continue to revisit, but it was also part of a cultural movement. So being there and being present in that moment was such a great occasion and event to be a part of. And it adds to the enjoyment that I have and the feelings I feel when I think about this film. And on the film, well, yeah, it has got everything. And a huge strength to this film is how many different emotions you feel because of the versatility and the variety we get on screen at different times. And what is particularly remarkable to me is how well Bong has crafted this movie to do so much with essentially very little. I mean, there's no real massive prop pieces or stage pieces, but that's how strong the directing is, and that's how strong the acting is, and that's how incredibly well fleshed out the plot is. I mean, think about it. This movie essentially takes place in 2 different homes, and realistically, it really only takes place in a couple of rooms in totality. And not only that, as I just mentioned, it doesn't use any large props or CGI. Yet it manages to have you hooked from second 1 all the way through till the final second of the film. And in that way, it feels very reminiscent of an old school classic, which, as Bong has publicly stated, he drew heavy influences from, specifically Hitchcock, as he said on many occasions. I'll never forget watching this film for the first time, and the way it had me gripped the whole way was something that was incredibly rare for me to experience, and it's why it always stuck in my head. Then as the years have gone on, as I've continued to rewatch it, you pick up detail after detail, and you just appreciate it so much more every single time you watch it. There's so many YouTube videos out there that break all of this down in detail and in depth, so I encourage you to go watch a lot of them and fall in love with this film as much as I have. It is must watch, it will be a classic that we reflect on in years to come, and of all the Oscar Best Picture winners in the 21st century, this one stands at the top of them all.
있었거든. 무슨 언니도 귀신 믿죠? 다솜이가 1학년 때 귀신을 봤잖아요, 집에서. 1학년 때 집에서 생일 잔치한 날. 그날 밤늦게 식구들은 다들 잠들었는데 다솜이가 몰래 부엌에 내려와서 냉장고에 생일 케이크 남은 걸 다시 꺼낸 거야. 아, 그 케이크 생크림이 기가 막혔거든. 애가 침대에 누워서도 자꾸 생각이 난 거지. 그래서 요 앞에 앉아서 다송이가 케이크를 막 먹다가
In third place, I have Whiplash by the incredibly talented Damien Chazelle. I want to start this off by acknowledging Damien Chazelle and his upside as a director and his future. He's only 40 years old and has already had 2 incredible smash hits. The difficulty of choosing between La La Land and Whiplash was the toughest that I had on this list. And one big reason that I'm drawn to both is because of Chazelle and his incredible talent. However, beyond that, the biggest reason I'm drawn to both of these is because of the way they both capture a different side of the ideology behind chasing your dreams and the hope that's involved in them, and how they can manifest in essentially very different ways. And so for me, the choice of Whiplash is because the ideology behind the way that those dreams are pursued and the grittiness and the ugliness of what chasing your dreams and being great at the highest level looks like resonated with me much more than anything else. And in fact, it's something that I think about consistently all the time. So, to summarise Whiplash, it is a deep dive into a student's obsessive dream that is met with the deranged pursuit of greatness possessing the mind of his college's most prolific music teacher. Neiman, who is the student, is essentially a blank canvas with one specific dream. He wants to be a great musician. So as Terence Fletcher, the teacher, storms into his life, we watch on as Neiman becomes completely engrossed in his teacher's beliefs as he feels that this is what will get him to that next level and find that level of greatness. This film is so airtight and so technically sound, and it possesses one of my favourite scenes of the 21st century, including J.K. Simmons, who puts on the best, absolute best villain performance of the 21st century.
Were you rushing or were you dragging?
I don't know.
Start counting.
5, 6, 7.
In 4, damn it! Look at me!
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Now, was I rushing or was I dragging?
No.
Count again.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rushing or dragging?
Rushing.
So you do know the difference! If you deliberately sabotage my band, I will fuck you like a pig. Now, are you a rusher or are you a dragger? Or are you going to be on my fucking time?
As you can see from that snippet, he commands the screen in every single scene he's in and is a true, complete force of fury every single moment of this film. And obviously, as a lot of you may know, this started out as a project that Chazelle started and didn't have the funding for. And for him to get Simmons involved at the inception point, have him absolutely understand what was needed from him at every single turn, clearly helped elevate this, 1, to get the funding, but then 2, to become the absolute masterpiece that it is. It's a performance at the top level. I'd have it equated to Daniel Plainview by Daniel Day-Lewis. That's how much I think of J.K. Simmons' performance in this film. So to go back to Chazelle for a second, he so delicately shapes this movie in such a great way that makes the fast-paced series of events on screen echo the feeling of essentially one big drum solo, which is a main theme throughout the film. Think about it. From the moment that Neiman puts his sticks on the drum kit, we ride the highs and lows throughout the film the same way a drum solo goes high and low, and it crashes and it bangs and it's fast and it's intense. It's really clever, and I think it's a really neat layer to think about when watching this film. What then elevates this film from being one of the best of the 21st century to one of my top 3 comes down to this really important philosophical point that resonates with me deeply and personally. I briefly touched on it earlier, but I want to elaborate. So, for a moment, I want you to think of Fletcher as a voice instead of a person. A voice in your head that has no desire for anything other than seeing you be the best at your dream, regardless of what it takes and regardless of what it costs. Now think of what that dream looks like. Think of the sacrifice, the pain, the grit, what levels you'd have to go to actually be the best. It paints a harrowing and harsh perspective on what it can take to get there. And to me, that is what is so spot on, and that is what is so relatable about this. Because greatness isn't easy. It's not even fun. It's relenting, it's painful, it's all-consuming, and above all, it is rare. And so, whether it's your career you're driven by, where you put in hours and hours and relentlessly pursue that next level, whether it's money, whether it's fame, what Chazelle has done so impressively here is he has created a visual snapshot of what that reality of greatness looks like, and it's transferable to all of those topics. It's inspiring just as it is equally sobering.
I'll tell you, man, and every Starbucks jazz album just proves my point, really. There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
But is there a line? You know, maybe you go too far and you discourage the next Charlie Parker from ever becoming Charlie Parker?
No, man, no. Because the next Charlie Parker would never be discouraged.
Yeah.
The truth is, Andrew, I never really had a Charlie Parker. But I tried. I actually fucking tried. And that's more than most people ever do. And I will never apologize for how I tried.
In second place, I have Before Sunset by Richard Linklater. Sequels in general have a rough time of ever living up to the original, especially when the original is so incredible and has such an amazing cult following. And so after creating Before Sunrise, the idea of a sequel living up to the magic and even surpassing what they did in Before Sunrise felt completely impossible. And then Before Sunset releases, and well, it is the perfect sequel, and in fact, it's the perfect romantic movie in general. In Before Sunset, we pick up 9 years later, as Jesse is completing his book tour about the magical fleeting night that he spent with Celine. Much to our joy, Celine is in attendance, and from there we get 80 minutes of the best, most intricate, passionate, and intimate dialogue of any movie this century. I am not speaking in hyperbole when I say this. Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke are the best on-screen couple ever. And Julie Delpy in this film is the most infatuated I have ever been with a character ever. She is perfect. They are perfect together. It does not get any better than this. This film is fully laced with heavy dialogue scenes that fit so seamlessly together, which gives you the feeling that every single second of this film matter and none of it is wasted. As time passes, we get these incredible long rolling takes, and you feel that these bring you in and continuously further and further pull you in and bring in more investment into both of these characters. It's brilliant because it's posed as a film that actually has both characters as the lead, and so you feel just as much investment into Jesse as you do to Celine. And a lot of that comes down to how cleverly crafted the dialogue is itself. It is the perfect snapshot of what the most magical, deeply emotive connections can look like. And it is a big reason that this film is so incredibly loved. Beyond that, for me, I think it really does a great job of exploring and discovering what true intimacy looks like. Because to me, and I think Richard Linklater and everybody that's a fan of this film, it really highlights that true intimacy comes from that emotive, special bond you form. It comes through connection, through understanding, through getting to know everything in every nook and cranny of that person's soul. And that is Before Sunset at its core, the intimate, exciting detailings of what falling in love with someone's soul looks like. And to truly capture that feeling of intimacy and that definition, the way that this film does it so well is because the performances are at the absolute S+ tier level. They're incredible. But also the dialogue is thought-provoking, quotable, and every time I watch it, I feel myself nodding in agreement with their life views, constantly. In that regard, it's aged incredibly well because those views and those takes and those personal introspective thoughts are things that we still have today. We still have doubts as humans. We still have those insecurities. We still want to know what everything would look like if we had a chance to explore them to their fullest extent. And that's what I really love about what this film does every time you watch it. It sparks those thoughts.
I don't believe in anything that relates to love. I don't feel things for people anymore. In a way, I put all my romanticism into that one night and I was never able to feel all this again. Like, somehow this night took things away from me and I expressed them to you and you took them with you. It made me feel cold, like if love wasn't for me.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
You know what? Reality and love are almost contradictory for me. It's funny. Every single of my exes, they're now married. Men go out with me, we break up, and then they get married. And later they call me to thank me for teaching them what love is and that I taught them to care and respect women.
I think I'm one of those guys.
You know, I want to kill them. Why didn't they ask me to marry them? I would have said no, but at least they could have asked. But it's my fault. I know it's my fault because I never felt it was the right man. Never. But what does it mean, the right man? The love of your life? The concept is absurd. The idea that we can only be complete with another person is evil, right?
Lastly, this film goes to the absolute next level and falls into second place on my list for this specific reason. Beyond being an incredible film, beyond being an incredible think piece, beyond being so romantic and so deeply laced with so many idealistic views that we love to think about and explore, the final 15 minutes of this film is the best ending of a film in the 21st century. Every single detail, from leaving the car until the screen fades to black, are absolutely electric. And to watch Jesse sit there with such adoration on his face and love as he pictures their future together is just pure magic. And then the reveal to bookend the movie that Celine, like Jesse who wrote a book, has actually written a song about their experiences with the same rose-coloured glasses that Jesse writes the book with, is nothing short of a perfect bookend and makes this a complete piece of work. Baby, you are going to miss that plane. I know.
Let me sing you a waltz out of nowhere, out of my thoughts. Let me sing you a waltz about this one night stand. You were for me that night everything I always dreamt of in life. But now you're gone, you are far gone, all the way to your island of rain. It was for you just a one night thing, but you were much more to me, just so you know. I don't care what they say, I know what you meant for me that day. I just want another try, I just want another night, even if it doesn't seem quite right. You meant for me much more than anyone I've met before. One single night with you, little Jesse.
Okay, and now, finally, in first place on my list, the best film of the 21st century is Shaun of the Dead by Edgar Wright. Yep, what can I say? Shaun of the Dead is a complete masterpiece, and it is an utter perfect piece of cinema. It's thoughtful, it's fun, it's adventurous, and it is truly so deeply funny. From second one of this film, we are instantly immersed into an Edgar Wright special. The way the camera reveals more and more as each sentence unfolds sets up the tone for one, how clever this film is going to be, two, how layered it is, and three, just how hilarious every single scene is going to be. It is unbelievably quotable, and the more I reflect on this film, the more I can see that almost every single scene has either a quote, a punchline, a layered joke, or something that's going to be hilarious for years to come on, and every single time you rewatch it. Absolutely stellar. For me, like many others, this was our first intro to Edgar Wright, and I have to say, wow, the style was just incredibly unique. I mean, the montages, the cuts, it felt completely new, completely unique, a breath of life into the category like we hadn't seen in a while. It is still one of the directorial styles that I love the most, and it's magnified in this film, and that's one of the reasons I love it so much. It also goes without saying that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost have incredible comedic chemistry. Even Bill Nye. It's subtle, it's only for a few minutes, but even within that couple of scenes, he is absolutely hilarious. So yeah, whilst it is the funniest piece of the 21st century and has the unique fingerprints of an absolute cult classic, to me, there's even more to this film the further you dive into it. And so beyond the enjoyment and entertainment of watching this film, it's also so relevant and paints the everyday life in such a really interesting way. Watch the opening credits here, and then let me elaborate. As is depicted so well in that scene, the monotony of life at the best of times can feel zombie-like. Often, we just pass through with no ambition, and that's because essentially we are just surviving, and that's what it feels like life is like. And for the vast majority of us, that reality becomes our comfort. We're so hypnotized in trying to survive that we're scared to break out of that mold, and we all become zombies. So for what I'm about to explore, I want you to treat the zombie-like nature of the people in this film as creatures of comfort that you see in humanity across all of us. So Sean, our main character, represents the everyday man, and he's at risk of now becoming a zombie or a creature of comfort. Nothing changes, days go by for him, and time just passes. And so as it dawns on him that he needs to change to escape those zombie-like qualities, but also save his relationship, metaphorically we see Sean take risks, be bold, put himself in uncomfortable situations as he tries to break away, in essence, and change for the better. Then interestingly, you add on top of it Ed, his best friend, who in a sense here represents the inner child in Sean's mind. He represents the place of ease, the place of comfort, going back to the things that you know and love without ever showing change or growth as a part of it. So as you watch Sean try to grow and escape throughout the zombie apocalypse, we are constantly reminded by Ed's carefree approach to every situation they find themselves in, that not changing and having those childlike comforts would be so much easier to hold on to and so much easier to just fall back on. So then of course we come to the final central piece, the Winchester, which throughout the whole film symbolises comfort, safety, and a lack of willingness to be different because it is home, it is comfortable. Except this time, when we see the Winchester at the end of the film, Sean has already taken the steps to begin to grow and begin to change. And a great barometer for this is if we think back on the speech that he gives when he's at work, the meat pie team speech, versus the speech that he gives in the Winchester near the end of the apocalypse. And what you'll find when you compare them side by side is remarkably we can see the remnants of a changed man, a changed human who is on that journey of growth, learning more about themselves and applying it to the situations that they're finding themselves in as they go through this change. So then to continue on, as the Winchester scene plays out and everything caves in and we physically see the zombies swarm and they're trapped in the basement, Sean is faced with his final two challenges: to never give up when it gets hard and to finally let go of his inner child. And he does just that. He continues to persist despite being trapped in every single way. And then finally, he lets go of Ed. And as he does that, symbolically he rises up, escapes getting caught by the zombies, and a new chapter in Sean's life is born. Which ties in so nicely to the metaphoric life beliefs we've just been talking about. Because oftentimes, when big change is coming in your life, the hardest things fall upon you. And if you continue to persist, you will break out of them, you will break through, and better things are ahead. The same can be said about your inner child. It is comfortable, it is reliable, it is always a happy place. But the further you dive into that and stay attached to it, the less you allow yourself opportunities to grow and understand and learn more about yourself. So, looping back to Sean, now we can see it full circle. He is changed, he has grown, and his life can continue without being caught in the zombie-like malaise that he was on the path for. But also, he has restraint now, and he has real discipline. So as we see symbolically at the end there with Ed, he can still tap into his inner child, but now it's restrained and it's not what he relies on to get by in life. And that to me is what makes this film so extra special, on top of being hilarious and incredible start to finish. It is the funniest, most unique and entertaining piece of the 21st century, and in my opinion, a worthy number one on my list.
Where's safe? Where's familiar?
Where can I smoke?
Take calm, go to Mum's, kill Phil, sorry, grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
So, there you have it. My top 25 films since the year 2000. If you've been watching along this whole time, thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Every view and every piece of feedback I have received has just been an absolute treat. Thank you so much. If you're new here and you want to see more, check out the rest of the series. I've tried to go in depth as possible on all of them, the same that I did on this video. Lastly, I just wanted to say this. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I truly believe that film transcends to the heart and mind. Initially when I started this series, I just wanted to explore what I thought the best films were because of rewatch, entertainment, and all of those basic things. But what I discovered was all of these films contained a piece of me and had a snapshot of who I was at the time that I first watched them, as well as when I watch them now. And it taught me so much about who I was, what I needed to hear going forward, who I am now, and who I want to be. And that to me has been so profound, and that is why I love cinema so much. I encourage you to all do the same if you have the time, reflect on some of your favourite pieces and ask yourself why you love them so much. Until next time, crew. Peace.